Hi everyone, today it is August 4th, and that is the feast day of Saint Jean Vianney, who is the patron saint of priests. So Saint Jean Vianney is commonly called the Curé of Ars. In other words, the priest in French of Ars. He was a 19th century Frenchman, French priest of this little country church in Ars, France. And because of his goodness and his amazing insight into the minds and souls of people, huge crowds began coming to this little country village to seek spiritual direction or confession from Saint Jean Vianney. It is said that in the wintertime he spent 10 to 12 hours daily in the confessional. In the summertime, 16 hours daily in the confessional. Again, this was a little out of the way village, but people came from all over because of his remarkable spiritual gifts that became widely known. Anyway, I'm going to share with you a few anecdotes about Saint Jean Vianney, if you'll be patient with me as I rustle through this book on him. There was the case of a farmer that was hiding one Sunday to get out of going to Mass in a field as the curé came along. The saint made a straight line toward a haystack and laughed as he pulled the man out. He said, "You are very upset to find me here, my friend, but the good God sees you always." Saint Jean Vianney has beautiful words to say about prayer in many different places, but here's a little aphorism of his about prayer. He says, "My brothers and sisters, the good God looks neither at long nor beautiful prayers, but at those that come from the bottom of the heart. There's nothing easier than to pray to the good God, and nothing is more comforting." Here's another story about his amazing ability to read souls. You have to be patient with me here. A disheveled woman in the throng. Now, remember, there are huge crowds that came to Ars on a regular basis. A disheveled woman in the throng was surprised when Saint Jean Vianney sprang out of the confessional and stared at her. "You, madame, you are in a hurry. Come at once." A bewildered sacristan got used to being sent out into the square of Ars in search of individuals described as wearing such and such by the saint, who could not have seen them. A stranger confessed that he had not been to confession for 30 years. The curé corrected him, 33. The man took out a pencil, did the subtraction on the wall, and admitted that the curé was a better mathematician than he. Here's another one. A woman he had not met went to Ars privately mourning her husband, who had drowned himself. Vianney singled her out in the church, and before she could say a word, he told her, "Do not worry. Between the bridge and the water, your husband repented and made an act of contrition. Pray for him." In 1852, a man named Francois Dorel accompanied a friend to see what was going on in Ars. In his early 30s and not wanting to look pious, he brought his shotgun and dog along for some duck shooting after Mass. The saint was passing through a bevy of petitioners outside as the two arrived, and he walked up to Dorel. Monsieur, it is greatly to be wished that your soul were as beautiful as your dog. Dorel put his gun down, went into confession, and died in 1888 in the habit of a Trappist. So those are some interesting stories about the cure of Ars. One thing I particularly liked, and this is a sad story about clerical envy in his diocese. A petition was circulated among Viennese fellow priests by one of them, accusing him of sensationalism, ignorance, and ostentatious poverty and austerities. As it was addressed to all the clergy, Vianney got hold of it. Vianney read it. Vianney signed it. He signed a petition that was circulating against him by his brother priests. So those are some stories about St. John Vianney, who the church honors today. Well, tonight we have our next Theater in Theology at 7 p.m. in the meeting room, and it's a magnificent film about the stormy relationship between King Henry II of England and St. Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury. It stars Richard Burton and Peter O'Toole giving a magnificent performance as King Henry II. So come learn about this great saint, St. Thomas Becket. Tonight at Theater in Theology, 7 o'clock in the meeting room. And on Tuesday night, next Tuesday, August 8th, will be our next litanic of the season. It will be hosted by Walter and Barbara Priest at their home in Bina. All are welcome to a litanic. This is one of the last litanics we have for this 2023 season. Don't miss it if you haven't been to them. There's great food always, and we celebrate Mass together in the home of the host in a much more intimate setting and a different experience than Sunday liturgy. So do come to the litanic at Walter and Barbara Priest's house on Tuesday evening at 6:30. This weekend, you will find information in the bulletin about their address and about their phone number, just to let them know that you're coming so they can plan on it. All are welcome. Have a great weekend. I'll see you in church.